Welcome to Parentless Podcast. Please note that in this show, you may hear graphic descriptions or language that may not be appropriate for everyone. Listener discretion advised. On this episode of Parentless, I was lucky enough to catch my cousin Blaize in the middle of some hard work one Saturday in September. Now, Blaize is my cousin through marriage, and we've never actually talked or seen each other in person, although virtually, until today, so this was something that was really special for us, meeting for the first time. Blaize popped into her truck to talk to me while her husband continued his job as an arborist. If you didn't know, that's a professional tree trimmer, and I just learned this word recently, and I thought it was such a cool word, so I had to share, and you're welcome. So we battled some echoes, and we had a choppy conversation, and you're going to hear some working sounds in the background. But this conversation is real and raw. Blaize Marina, take it away.
I'm Blaize Shimmick. I am married. We have 3 beautiful kids. I'm 27, almost hitting my 30s. And yeah, my life is crazy. I have 2 girls and 1 boy. So our poor little boy gets left out of the fun. I am a stay-at-home mom. And our 9-year-old, we are homeschooling, which has been an event. It's been different. I've been really learning how to test my patience with learning how to do the Common Core schooling now is so different than when I was in school. So I'm like so lost. We are in 4th grade and it is like not fun at all. I do not miss school. I am like over it already.
How did you get your name?
Okay, so I guess when my dad was in the Navy, he used to sit on the marina and talk to my mom. And when the sun would go down, it looked like the blaze of fire. So they called me Blaize Marina.
This is a FatKid Studios study.
Little oval face that makes me sad. Show instead, oh, to go now. Heavy eyes, so help me make this bed over and over. Tell me what it takes to make you stay so lonely.
The person that died for me was my mom. Her name was Raquel. She was the most amazing person you could ever think of knowing. She was funny and bubbly, and she was just my best friend. Besides being my mom, she was just the person I turned to the most. When she passed away, I was 22 and she was 46. Oh, she'd be 50 this year, which is crazy to think because when she passed away, it was funny. We always said, when you're 50, we're going to do this big party and it's going to be insane. And this year we kind of went all out when it came to her birthday because I was just like, it's your 50th. Like we bought balloons and we got a end of the world cake and we just went all out.
And what day was that?
May 14th is her birthday. So it was hard. It was a hard birthday for me this year, but I did pretty good. I didn't cry as much as I used to. So I feel like as the years go by, I'm less, I guess it doesn't hurt me. It still hurts, but it doesn't affect me severely like the first couple of years. On the day, I really just stayed home. I think the first year it was really hard for me because 3 days prior to the day that she passed away, I found out I was pregnant with my first son. So for me, it was really hard because I felt like, oh my God, I'm going to go through this pregnancy without her. I'm going through raising this baby without her. And she was my everything. Like if I had a question about anything, she was the person to call. So I was so terrified to even think, okay, I have to do this without her. So yeah, it was a rough year. The very first year, I just laid in bed. I cried all day and I felt a miserable mess. I just felt like it was the moment she died. She taught me so much growing up that I feel like prepared me to be a mom. Because I know just like with my sister, when she had her kids, my mom was there for everything. And I was there to see her help my sister be a mom. So it was so much easier when I did have my son that I was like, oh, I remember when my mom taught me how to do this with my nephews. So it helped, but it was so painful. When he was born, the first person I wanted to call was my mom. When his first steps, the first person I wanted to call was her. Like every first, it felt like was more painful than the last first. So it just still is painful. But I didn't realize like how hard being a mom was until I became one. And then I was just like, if I could just tell her I'm sorry today, that would just, I just feel bad that I put her through so much, because I just know there's days I'm like, how did she do it? Like I am struggling. Because she just always seemed when we were growing up like nothing fazed her. She was such a strong woman, and I just don't know how she did it. I am so thankful that she was very strong for us, because there's days I feel like my kids see me cry more than I should. So what happened was, it was kind of a crazy time for us. My sister was 9 months pregnant, so we were expecting her to go into labor anytime. We thought her water broke, so her and her husband went to the hospital to get looked at. And she called me and said, hey, mom has the flu. I need you to watch my kids. I was like, oh, yeah, no problem. I'll go check on her in a little bit. So I gave them a couple hours, and then I went to go check on my mom. And when I walked in, I see her every day. So it wasn't like unusual for her to not feel good. The day before, she kind of felt crummy and just was off. And I was like, okay, sleep it off. I'll see you tomorrow. I went to go check on her, and when I walked in, her lips were very tinged blue, and her whole body just was so pale. And so normally she fights me and says, oh, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm not doing that. You're crazy. And I just told her, I said, Mom, I'm calling an ambulance. You don't look good. And she didn't hesitate. She just said, okay, I think I need to go. And I may cry, so I'm sorry. So the ambulance came, and I had my sister's husband's mom come get the kids because I wanted to be there with her. So I went to the hospital. We were sitting there, and they did 2 EKGs on her. And I kept asking what's going on. They said, we can't really tell you anything yet. We're just going to take her to the other hospital, which is a flight hospital. So in that moment, I red flagged, was like, okay, something's wrong. I need to call my sister and tell her, hey, something's not right. They got there the ambulance got there really quickly to transfer her. So I'm on the phone trying to call family members, call my cousin Kayla, just telling everybody hey, I don't know what's going on. Something's wrong. They're transferring her to another hospital. And I was in my vehicle. They had her in the ambulance. When I was driving behind them, I just remember the moment that the lights flicked on, it went from being very slow paced to a full race. They were going so fast. And I just remember my heart dropping, saying, this is it. She's gone. And I just felt like that was it. When I got to the hospital, I saw them take her into the ambulance entrance, and I parked my car and I ran to the ambulance entrance, and they told me I had to go to the front. So I go to the front, and the security says, the doctors want to put you in a consultation room. You're going to have to wait here. In that moment, I guess everybody knows, this is that's not a good situation when someone tells you that. So I called my sister, and I said, I'm not going to talk to the doctor without you. You need to just get here. She finally got there. I refused to talk to the doctors till they got there. We sat down, and the moment they said that she had a massive heart attack in the ambulance and her heart had stopped. They had been able to revive her, but they need to take her up to the cath lab and see what we can do from there. We went up to the cath lab. We sat there for, it had to have been only about an hour or two, but it felt like forever. I remember sitting in the hallway right by the door where they were working on her, just praying, just make her through this. She's going to get through this. It's going to be fine. She's strong. I didn't think in the process of anything that she was going to die. I just felt like, okay, we can get through this. She's done so good in her health. She's been losing weight. Like, she's going to be fine. When they brought her out, they pulled me and my sister aside and said, we're going to go put her in the ICU. We're going to hook her up to these machines that are going to keep her heart pumping. But you guys need to start making decisions whether you want to continue this or that we stop the progress right now. So we held her hands and we walked down the hallway to where the ICU doors were. And when we stopped there, they said, this is where you guys have to go to the waiting room. And we're going to go get her hooked up, and that'll give you time to, make your decisions. We sat there and talked about it. My sister just kept saying, she's going to be fine. I think we should keep her on the monitor and, see how well that goes. And when we came to that agreement, we didn't think how bad it would get or how bad she could get. We just kind of felt like maybe she'd be okay because they cleared the blockage. They cleared her heart, like she was okay. She was stable-ish. So we thought, okay, maybe she can come back from this. The minute that we sat down and just finally made a decision, we heard the words code blue over like 3 times. The minute we heard those, my sister looked at me and I looked at her, and we knew it was our mom. We both just started walking towards the entrance, and the nurse goes, are you here for Raquel Creamer? And we said, yes. And they said, this is what room she's in. I just remember running as fast as I can. Like, I didn't think about my sister or my friends or nothing. Like, I just ran to her. And when I got in there and my sister got in there, there was a gentleman on top of my mom just pounding on her chest. Not like gentle compressions, just pounding. And the doctor looked at both of us and said, you have to make a decision now. If we keep her on the monitors, that's only going to keep her heart pumping, but it's not bringing her back. She's gone. So when my sister looked at me, she said, I can't make this decision. You have to do it. And in my mind, all I could think was, I just want you off my mom. Like, I don't care. If she's gone, but just get the hell off of her. Like, I didn't worry about if she's okay. Like, I just was mad because he was just pounding on her. I was just mad at the nurse. Like, I didn't even think of anything else besides, dude, get off my mom. Like, what is wrong with you? And I just told the doctor, just get off of her and turn it off. Like, just be done. Because I don't know, if you can't save her, then there's nothing. I don't want her on a machine. She didn't want to be on a machine. And it wasn't what she wanted. This is not what her life was supposed to be like. And this is not how she was supposed to die. So they turned her off. And the doctors left. And the nurses decided, we're going to pull the air tube out of her mouth. And they pre-warned us that, the juices or your spit and everything that when you pull that out will come out, and it's going to be a little gross. And they did all that, and they cleaned her up, and we laid there with her, and we held her hand, and we called her dad and said, if you want to come down here, because he didn't know what was going on because they're divorced. I told him, hey, it's mom. And he said, what's going on? Is she okay? And I said, no, she's gone. And if you want to come say your goodbyes, this is your chance. And so he came down, and we all sat there with her, and we held her hand, and the priest came in and told us, did a prayer with us, and then told us, different ways that we can bury her or cremate her or what we wanted to do. So we just decided we were going to wait on it, and we signed all the paperwork. We stayed with her for a good 3 hours, just holding her. And then finally, we decided it was time to go home. And my sister just needed to go and deal with her family. And I had a hard time leaving. I just felt like if I leave her, then she's going to be alone. And if she's alone, then what if she's scared? Or what if she just doesn't know, I guess, I don't know. I don't know what came in my mind, but so many things in that moment just changed. I just knew, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and she's not going to be there. I felt like an empty feeling. Like it just was not, I felt like it was unreal. Like I didn't feel like this was really happening. It just didn't feel like this could truly happen to us. It was just weird.
And she had not had health problems before.
No, so it was so weird. I guess what had happened was she had a blood clot that must have formed in her leg or somewhere in that area. When it traveled, I guess it went into a portion of her heart that was like a big artery. And when it clogged off that artery, it cut the blood flow off to all of her major organs. So it wasn't that she died from the heart attack or anything of that. Really, she died from all of her organs were just shutting down. She was just slowly dying through the night, and we just thought she had the flu. Because every symptom was like throwing up, temperature, not feeling good. Like it had no trigger in my mind that she was seriously sick. I guess in my mind, I wasn't prepared for it because I thought, oh, when my parents pass away, I'm going to be an old woman. I never thought I'd be 22 years old, and now the only parent that I truly had was gone. I think it's impacted me I've changed. I guess I'm more closed off than I used to be. I used to be very energetic. I used to be very much a people person. After my mom's death, I had a hard time going back to work. I worked in the medical field, and I worked at the hospital. And I felt like after she died, I couldn't go back. Like mentally, physically, emotionally, I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't see death as well as I used to. I tried, but it just feels like after her, death is really hard for me to deal with now. I feel like after she left, it's kind of made me more vulnerable to sadness, I guess. I just have a harder time dealing with anything. I got really bad anxiety after she was gone. It just kind of changed my whole attitude of life.
Was she the first person close to you that you experienced passing away?
Yeah. My grandma was really close to me when I was a kid, but when she passed away, I was only 9. So it wasn't like I knew what death was. And my mom was the first real person for me to lose. After my mom, it was kind of like I felt alone because she was all I really had as far as family.
Have you had to go to any more funerals?
No, luckily I haven't. I mean, this year we were possibly going to our grandpa's funeral, but nothing has happened with COVID and everything like that. So I'm kind of thankful for that because I'm not sure how I was going to feel when I got there. But no, until his funeral, this is the only funeral I went to in the last 4 years. So I've been really thankful of not going to any funerals.
We'll be right back.
If you have a story you'd like to share, please give me a call at 623-396-6069. You don't even have to talk to me if you don't want to. You can leave a voicemail. You can send me a letter at parentlesspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for taking the time to stop in.
We had so many people, just my friends and just people that I didn't really know. She had so many people that loved her. And this one of my friends got a huge portrait of my mom done. And I have it in my living room now. And I look at that and that just brings so much joy to my heart. Like that was the one main thing at her funeral that I received that I just was so joyful to get. Because now every morning I wake up, I get my coffee and my mom is right there.
So you have coffee with mom every day. Do you talk to her picture at all?
Oh, I talk to her all day long, like every day. Like I feel like some people are like, it's been 4 years. You still, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'll ever stop talking to her. Like when I feel sad, I will have my own time in my room and I will just talk to my mom. And it just feels like a relief. Like I feel like she's still here. I don't feel like, yes, she may be gone, but she's not gone.
Have you ever had any experiences with spirits or feelings or anything like that?
I personally haven't. My mom was a huge believer in it. The only time that I feel like I have had a spiritual thing was I was in the hospital recently this year. I had a hysterectomy. During my hysterectomy, I got a blood clot to my lung. That brought back so many emotions because my mom died of a blood clot. So when I was admitted there, I had a moment where they put me on heparin to lower the blood clot and help it dissolve. Well, they gave me too high of a dose or my body reacted funny to it, and I ended up hemorrhaging out. In that moment that I just like looked down and saw so much blood, I just looked at my husband and I just said, I'm going to go see my mom. Like, I was like almost at peace with it. And then when I woke up, I felt calm, like she was holding me, like I was okay. Like she was going to be there to hold me through this. And it was the weirdest feeling of my entire life. But that's the only time that I've ever felt like she's physically here with me. It was really scary for my family, and luckily I made it through, and I'm still here for my kids. So
speaking of children, so we said that you have 3 kids. Did anything change about the way you parent?
Yeah, because I never had anybody to teach me how to parent or guide me through parenting. So I kind of just now, as a parent, just kind of remember little things that my mom used to do. Like, I look at life as a joy now. I think with my kids, I push of always like being a part of their life, always being open and honest with them, because that's the way she was with us. So I feel like my mom, when we got a little older, she worked a lot. She was always busy with like kind of her own life. I guess now looking back, I don't want to be that. I want to be there for my kids as much as I can every day, to just know that if I ever do go, they weren't alone and they always had me no matter what. So now I just really push of being like, okay, there's things my parents did that I don't want to do, and that's one of them. I just want to be there. I want them to know, like, you can always tell me anything. I'm here.
Well, you sound like a great mom.
It has its days.
What's one thing that you would say to your mom now?
Thank you. Thank you for being just the most amazing person. Thank you for just always being there for us. And thank you for being my mom, because I miss her a lot. Sorry.
You're okay. Yeah.
So the way I like cope with everything is I just think of, okay, would she want me to be sad or would she want me to live life happy? So I always, when I am having moments of feeling unsure or it's just been a rough day and I just miss her so much, I just kind of have a moment to myself. My husband's really good about giving me my space when I do have kind of just like a meltdown. There's days that I just like, I don't know, it just feels like the grief is too much to control. And then I just kind of go have a good little cry, and then I pick myself up and I'm able to move forward a lot easier. But it just feels like some days I cannot get through the day without just like 5 minutes of crying, and then I'm good.
Did your mom laugh a lot?
Oh my gosh. All the time. Like, even when you didn't even think like it's funny, she was always that person to like tell the stupidest jokes, and then you're like, that's not funny. And she's like dying laughing, snorting. Like, it's hilarious. She would crack us up. She was the biggest jokester. Anytime we were, oh gosh, when we were kids, I don't know how many times she would like mess with us and like do stupid pranks, especially Halloween. That was her holiday. Don't ever turn a corner because there's like a skeleton or something creepy gonna pop out at you. Like, she was crazy about it. She was hysterical.
Do you do that kind of stuff for Halloween?
I do. So we're now starting to decorate. We just did our entire front of our house a giant spider web with a huge spider. And we just got a bunch of blow up stuff, and we're going to do a really spooky vampire theme. So yeah, that's our main thing. Every Halloween, we go all out like she did.
Nice.
It's like tradition now.
That sounds good. You'll have to post a picture. Any other coping mechanism?
I did go to therapy for a while. They gave me a lot of like breathing techniques that I can do when I'm feeling just kind of overwhelmed and stuff like that, which I do frequently. I do it when I'm sad. I do it when I'm mad. I always just kind of just breathe through it, and it helps a lot. And then I learned this one technique that they said, because I always feel really mad that she's gone. Like I feel mad that it wasn't her time. And my therapist at the time said, if you just say the word, I'm mad, out loud, it actually calms you down. And it is surprisingly weird to actually physically do it, but like it's surprising how well you just like slowly calm down. So helpful hint, if you're ever really mad, just say, I'm mad, and it helps.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you don't go to therapy now?
No, I kind of just felt like I have gone through the grief. Like I don't cry as much as I used to. I've kind of came to terms that she's gone and she's not coming back, and that's okay. And I do a lot better. Like I really give myself the one day a year when she passed away. I give myself that day. And then I kind of tell myself, okay, you've had your day. It's okay to just move on with your life. Because at first I felt like I'm moving on without her. And through therapy, they just kind of like explained, I'm not moving on without her, but, I'm moving on with my life with her in the spirit world, not in the physical world. So really, therapy helped a lot, and I do good now. I don't really have as much anxiety as I used to, and I work through it a lot easier than the first couple of years. It was 4 years, the 12th of this month.
September the 12th. Okay.
It's still fresh. You still have these moments. There's like when I make tortillas, I have my grandma's rolling pin and my mom's cast iron tortilla skillet. And every time I do tortillas, I just flashbacks like come back of being like, oh, I remember when my mom would roll tortillas and I would be her little flipper, and she would get so mad when I would burn them. And she's like, well, I guess this one has to be eaten right now. Like, it's just little things that bring back little memories of her. And then sometimes it kind of makes me a little teary-eyed because I'm just like, oh, like I make a lot of Mexican food because that's what we grew up on. And it's just like little things. When I make green chili, I have to laugh because I'll be like, oh, I remember when I messed up this chili one time and it tasted horrible and my mom still ate it. Like, it's just little things that remind me of her. Her main thing was menudo. We could eat menudo all the time. Loved it.
Yeah, Derek's like, you need to learn to make tortillas. And I said, oh, well, that sounds like a lot of work.
Oh, it's pretty easy. It's funny. Kayla actually asked me, my cousin was like, hey, what's the recipe? And I was like, I could give you a basic idea, but my mom eyeballed everything. So when she taught me, she's like, you just do kind of 2 seconds here and like a pinch here. And that's what I remembered as is like a pinch here, 2 seconds here. Like I can't even like describe to somebody the way she taught me. It's weird.
But that's awesome though. So do your kids help you?
Yeah, my kid, and that's how they learn. My 2-year-old will be like, a pinch. It's just funny, like crazy little things that my mom taught me and now I teach my kids. And my son finds it funny because he's like, Mom, a pinch. So it's like, we don't go by recipes. We go by what my mom went by, is eyeballing it. My kids are Hispanic fiends. They love tortillas. I can't make a meal without tortillas. It's funny. I thought my son is blonde hair, blue eyes. I thought, oh, he's going to be the whitest white boy ever. Oh, gosh, no. He's a bean fanatic.
What were some of your mom's favorite things?
Oh, gosh. Green chili. She ate that like literally all the time. And for her being Hispanic, literally she loved spaghetti. I, as kids, ate spaghetti, I think like 3 times a week, which now as an adult, I hate spaghetti. Like, refuse to make it. I make like a small pan for my kids, and I'm like, I'm not eating that. I think we ate it so much as kids, like now I refuse. I'm like, no. My mom loved eggs, like all the time. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, she'd eat eggs. It just cracked us up as kids. We were always like, you eat so many eggs, like you're going to be an egg.
You ran into very many people who have lost a parent?
Yes, well, kind of. So conveniently, when I moved to Montana, I met my neighbor. And she was really awesome. And her mom had passed away the same year as my mom, but in December. To the day, 2 months apart to the day, as my mom passed away. So I still talk to her now that I live back in Colorado. And when it comes around these anniversaries, we normally call each other and tell each other, I'm here for you. We can talk through it. It's okay. Like, she's a really good person that I turn to because she's been through it. And her mom passed away through a heart attack as well. So it's kind of like we had so much death experience together that it's good to turn to somebody and not feel alone in it.
Mm-hmm. How long did it go before you found out that her mom also passed away?
So we were neighbors for about 3 months, and we had talked, and we never really brought up our moms. And then it was coming close to my mom's first year anniversary, and it was about a month before that. And I just was like, yeah, next month, it's normally a hard month for me. So if you don't see me. And she was like, asking why. And I told her, and she was like, no way. And then she told me what happened with her mom. And we cried, like just sat there in my living room, and we both just cried and talked about our moms. And gosh, I think for like 3 hours just talking about how funny they were and how much alike they were. And it was crazy to think like to have somebody have that same experience as I did. It was mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
I get excited just for the fact that I'm like, somebody else they don't have to feel alone like I did. Like with her, she calls me when she's having a bad day and she's like, it's just one of those days. And I'm like, I'm here. I've had those days. I know how it feels. For anybody that loses a parent, it's scary at the beginning, but every day you get that strength back. You don't have to feel so scared and alone that there is people out there that have been through this. It's not easy. The first day you will feel like your entire world is crashing down. But at least at the end of the day, they're still with you in spirit, and you get through it. It's okay. It's okay to breathe, and it's okay to move on. Because I feel like I'm slowly every day moving on.
Did your mom have a favorite saying?
Oh, yes. So when we were kids, anytime we went on a trip or anytime we were just feeling down or scared about something, she would always say, "En nombre de Dios," and that just means "in God we trust." And I say that now when we go on trips or when my kids are having bad days, and I just say, trust in God. It's okay. Just trust in God. And we get through it. So yeah, I still pass that to my kids. I feel like every day I'm more like my mom than yesterday. There's little things I do and I laugh, and my husband's like, "Why are you laughing?" And I'm like, I remember when my mom did this, like weird little things.
Do you believe that she's looking down on you, that she sees what's happening?
I believe so. I mean, there's people that don't, but I believe she's up there just enjoying life with her mom and dad now. And I feel like they're all just watching us and protecting us. I think she's like my protector. Like, I had a really hard time conceiving my kids. I had 6 miscarriages before my son. And conveniently, right before the year of her death, I found out I was pregnant with my son. And I was terrified. I was like, okay, we've been here before. A couple weeks after finding out I was pregnant, I started bleeding. And I was like, I know what this is. We're having another miscarriage. We go to the hospital and they said, the baby's fine. Baby's great. You're just bleeding a little. It's okay. I got through my pregnancy and my son was 10 pounds at birth. I feel like she brought him to me, like part of her gave us that gift of life. And now I have a daughter that acts just like my mother. So conveniently, I think she sent me her mini-me.
I guess if anybody in Colorado needs their trees trimmed, should they call your husband?
Yeah, just call Top Notch Tree Service. Ask for Lyle. He is an amazing tree trimmer.
What areas do they serve?
So we are just in the Grand Junction, Fruita area. And we are just kind of just do local trees right now. They do travel to like Montrose, which is only like an hour away, and Delta, and just like closer cities. So kind of just the Western Slope.
Thanks for coming on. It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Yeah.
And to hear about your beautiful mom. So thank you so much for sharing.
Bye.
Thank you for taking the time to be with me here today. Your support and dedication of the Parentless podcast community is amazing and much appreciated. If you like what you've heard, been helped by what you've heard, or want to share your own story, please contact me at parentlesspodcast@gmail.com or Parentless Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
Empty faces, covered in cars, spreading fake skin, passing me by.
Parentless is recorded in Phoenix, Arizona. Find us on social media and any podcast platform. Music provided by Colin the Coco and the Revolving Birds. Studio provided by FatKid Productions. Check out one of the many shows available on our network. I'm your host, Stephanie Relaford. Thank you for listening to Parentless.